Hi, everybody. Welcome in. Happy Saturday to all of you. I'm so glad that you have come to join me today for a class. For those of you who have not ever had a class with me before, my name is Sarah Ellis. I am with Beadalon, and I've got a really cool project to share with you guys today that you can either use for Mother's Day, or you can turn this into a project just for yourself. You can kind of alternate the colors. You can really change this up and make it definitely something that that you want it to be. The colors definitely is going to be something that you're going to be able to change up to either represent your grandkids or your kids or just your favorite colors. So I'm excited to show this project to you. I am really excited to show you the technique. The technique that we're going to be doing is called herringbone wire wrapping, but this does have a little bit of a twist to it. So I am looking forward to showing that to you guys. I'm going to just go ahead and turn you guys around and we'll get started and talk about the things that you're going to need for this project. But before we get started, I do want to let you know that Meredith Roddy is here in the comments to answer questions for you guys. She isn't able to drop any links for you all, but she is here to answer questions. So if you need her, she is there. A lot of times I get busy and I don't see the questions go by fast enough. I don't look up because they're going by so fast. So, all right, let's get started, shall we? All right, so this is one of those projects where you really don't need a whole lot of materials to create this, but the results are so pretty. So I have chosen some of these kind of oval shaped beads. They are not coming across on camera as blue as they are, but they are very blue in person and they have a flash of purple to them. They're really, really beautiful. Definitely can grab these at Michael's. There's a whole strand of these, and you're only going to need one for the project unless you wanted to turn this project into a pair of earrings. So we're going to create a pendant, but you absolutely could make this the centerpiece of a bracelet, or you could turn it into a pair of earrings very easily. So you're going to need one of these. And then one of my very favorite things from Michael's is the cards with all of the different size beads on them. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay. I know you guys have seen these. I use these in a lot of my classes because the value of them is so good. Now, one of the reasons I chose this for our project today, or I chose these beads in particular, is because they come in a variety of colors. So the colors that I have chosen, I have this really beautiful kind of creamy white color, but it does have that flash of sparkle to it. Some clear with the AB finish, and then this beautiful kind of turquoise blue. However, you can choose whatever color of these beads you want to represent the birthstones of your family members if you're going to make this for Mother's Day, or if you just want to use your favorite colors, it looks beautiful as well. Now, you're only going to use a handful of the beads from these, so that means you're going to have a lot left over, which if you are a jewelry maker, for profit, if you are making jewelry for your website, or you are getting ready to do some craft booths this spring and summer, or you go to the farmer's market to sell, this is a great value because you've got enough of these beads to create tons of pieces of jewelry. So when I see these at Michael's, I grab them up and they come in a rainbow of colors, which is really, really convenient. So these are the colors that I've picked, but please feel free to pick whichever colors you want to use. Okay. So as far as those colors and the beads are concerned, my center bead is going to be one of the clear AB beads, and it is a little bit bigger than the other two colors that I have chosen. So I chose the, they're not quite the smallest. It's the next size up from the very smallest on those strands, 2 of the turquoise and 2 of the white. So those are going to go around the bottom of our bead. Now, let me show you the other things you're going to need to create this project. So that's kind of where we're going. Let me show you how we're going to get there. So a couple of things that you're going to need. You're going to need some 24. I almost said 26. You're going to need some 24 gauge German style wire in silver. You can use gold if you want to. I do recommend that you stick with the 24 gauge though. Okay. That's definitely going to make a huge difference in your frustration with this project. If you try to go with a thicker gauge wire, you may find that you have a little trouble with this. So stick with the 24 gauge for sure. You're going to need your Beadalon Findings Variety Pack, just so that we've got our jump rings and our clasps. I love these. They are super handy. Everything is all in one place, and I just toss it, you know, in a bucket that I've got next to my workspace, or I toss it in my bag if I'm going to travel and make jewelry. So the other thing you're going to need is a little bit of chain. Now I'm using chain to keep this very simple. I have 2 pieces of chain to flank either side of our pendant once we get it created. However, if you would like to build an entire beaded piece around your pendant, you absolutely can do that. But just for today, I'm using just this really small thin silver chain so that our pendant is really truly the focal and spotlight of our design. Okay, so that's pretty much it. You're just going to need your basic tools. You need your chain nose pliers, round nose pliers, and of course a cutter tool. Okay. All right, so to get started, we're going to start with a technique that we do quite often. If you have been part of my classes previously, then you know I do a lot of wrapped loops. So that's what we are going to start with. So cut yourself about 30 inches of your 24 gauge wire. And you're going to use your chain nose pliers. We're going to come down on that wire about 2-3 inches, give or take. Okay, you've got plenty of wire to work with here, so you don't have to be exact on these measurements. Okay, you just want to be sure that instead of a regular 3 wrap loop where we kind of start up here and only give ourselves about 1.5 inches, we want to come down a bit because we're actually going to do 8 wire wraps. Okay, so give yourself enough room for that. So come down with your chain nose pliers. You're going to bend that wire and make yourself a 7 or a backward 7, depending on which direction you're kind of looking. I never know with the Zoom screen which way you guys are seeing this. So if it's a backward 7, that's kind of what I'm looking at. So, all right, now we're going to come in with our round nose pliers and we're going to create a wrapped loop. However, we're going to do several wraps with this. So I'm grabbing the wire, running between the barrel of the pliers. You'll notice that the barrel of the pliers are kind of up and down. Okay, they're not side to side, they're up and down. This top barrel, I'm going to take this wire, and I'm only moving the wire, not the tool. I'm going to take the wire and I'm going to guide it up and over the top barrel of those pliers. Now, when you're looking at it straight on, that's kind of the look that you're gonna have. And you'll notice that the bottom barrel of the pliers is in the way. We need to move that so that we can go ahead and take this tail end of the wire all the way over to close up our loop. So to do that, we just need to rotate the pliers. We didn't take them away from the wire or anything. We just kind of rotated them and took that bottom barrel and made it the top barrel. Now we have enough room to take that wire over to the other side, and that's going to close up our loop, and we've got plenty of tail here. Okay, so don't take it off the tool. I was just showing you. I'm going to switch hands and put this in my non-dominant hand, and we are going to wire wrap. And we are going to wire wrap about 8 to 9 times. So this is more than what we normally do. Okay, so we're going to go around 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and sometimes I go an extra just for good measure. So we've got about 9 wire wraps there. And something that you'll notice is that my wire wraps are not perfect. I don't know if you can see or not, but there are some little spaces in between those wire wraps. I'm not concerned with any of that because we're gonna cover all of this up with more wire. So you're never gonna see it. So if you're not super comfortable with your wire wraps, if they're on the messy side, you can totally give yourself a break because nobody's ever gonna see them. Okay, so don't worry about those small things. Now we want to come in with a cutter tool and trim off that excess wire. And we've got a wraps loop on the end of our 24 gauge wire. Now we're going to thread on our big bead. This is our focal for our design. You can see that purple flashing through there from this angle. I'm going to thread that on, and it's going to rest right up against the wire wraps that we created. Now, what we needed to do is we need to create wire wraps in the same space over here on the other side. So we can't come in like we normally would with our chain nose pliers and bend the wire, because we would only have enough room for about 3 or 4 wire wraps. We need enough space between this side of the bead and where our loop is going to be to accommodate 8 or 9 wire wraps so that it matches on both sides. Now there's a couple of ways you can do this. If you want to be expert about it, you can come in with your ruler and you can hold that up there and see the amount of space between the loop and the side of the bead is about 1/4 of an inch. And so then you can come over here to this side and you just want to place your pliers at that mark. Now, I am going to be completely transparent and open with you guys. Very rarely do I ever actually measure. 9 times out of 10, I will just eyeball it, and they are never exactly perfect, but the difference between the two is so slight that nobody ever notices. But if you are definitely a stickler for perfection, you might want to come in with your pliers, okay? I mean, with your ruler and measure before you make that bend in your wire. Okay, so mine's pretty close. It's not exact, but again, 1 or 2 wire wraps is not going to make that much of a difference. So I gave the wire a bend, and I'm going to come back in with my round nose pliers, just like we did on the other side. Okay, so I'm holding the wire. I'm going to take it up and over the top barrel of the pliers. We've got to rotate those pliers so that I can take the wire over. And then we are going to wire wrap in that space between our loop and our bead. Now at this point, I'm just winding. I'm not counting, because if I count, then I always feel bad when they're not the same measurement. Because they could be off by a little bit, and then I feel like I have, I've messed up the whole thing. But the truth is that you really haven't. Okay, you just want them to be close. I can tell by looking at them. This one is a little bit longer, but totally okay. All right, so now we want to straighten out this wire, because we are going to herringbone wire wrap without any beads around our bead about 3 times. So for those of you who are not familiar with that, all it means is that we are going to guide our wire around the side of the bead a couple of times. So that's what we're going to start with. But most important part of this is that the wire always needs to go in front of the wire wrap. So if there is one thing you learn from this project, it needs to be that when you are doing herringbone, the wire has to come to the front. So let me explain as I'm going what I mean. So you can see how the wire is winding around from the back and coming towards me. I'm going to take that wire and I'm going to guide it along the side of our bead, laying nice and flat up against that edge. Fortunately for us, our bead does have a little bit of an edge, so that makes it very easy to guide that wire. So guide the wire nice and flat up against the edge. You want to bring that wire to the front of the wire wraps on the other side. Then you want to wrap around those wire wraps and back out to the front. Okay, so we're always going in front. Now we're going to go down the other side of the bead. So we just want to guide that wire along that flat edge of our bead. And then we want to go to the front of the wire wraps, around the back and back out towards the front. Okay, so that's once, and you've created a little frame around your bead already. Now, because we're using a bead that has a flat side, it makes it a little bit easier on us. However, you can do this exact same technique with a bead that is round. You can do this with any shaped bead, as a matter of fact. Okay, just know that the flat edge helps if you're a beginner. Okay, now we're going to do this again, but this time we want to lay the wire behind the first wrap. So as I'm laying that wire down along the edge of the bead, I want to be sure that it is laying behind that first wire that's already there, up to the top where our wire wraps are, to the front of the wire wraps, wrap around and out to the front. Okay. Now we're going to repeat. And as I'm going, I'm using my fingers to straighten out my wire. The straighter the wire is, the easier this is going to be for you. Okay. Same thing. I'm going down the side of the bead, but I'm making sure to go behind the last wire that laid down to the front of the wire wraps, around and out the front. Okay. Now we're going to do this one more time on each side of the bead. And then our last trip around the bead, we're going to add some beads to this. Okay. All right. So I'm going again behind the last wraps that we made. So now I've got 3 in a row, laying flat up to the wire wraps, wrap around and out to the front. And then down the side of the bead, behind those first 2 wire wraps, in front of the wraps, around and out the front. Now, where does that herringbone name come from? It comes from this section that you are creating here. See how it looks sort of like fishbone? That's where the technique gets its name, is from this look. You can continue doing this and build up a really beautiful section of herringbone on either end. It looks amazing without any extra beads. But we are going to take this to the next level. We're going to add some beads to this that will actually hang on the bottom, because our pendant is actually going to go this direction. Okay, so we're going to add some beads to come along the bottom here. So the first thing we want to do is we want to pick up the first bead out of our little group here. I'm going to pick up one of the white beads and I'm going to thread that on. I'm going to bring that down here close to the wire wraps. Okay, but not right up against them. So don't just let it fall. You want to come out a little, maybe 1/4 of an inch, maybe not quite 1/4 of an inch. Okay. Now what we want to do, turn it this way, it might be a little bit easier for you to see. So I always tend to work upside down for some reason. Okay, so we've got about 1/4 of an inch space here. It's not exact, but you do want a little bit of space. We're going to take that wire and hook it, kind of bend it upwards towards the wire wraps to hook that bead in space. Continue to take that wire and go all the way around your bead. Now, definitely, I recommend turning the pendant. It's going to help. It's going to help, I promise. So don't turn the wire, turn the entire pendant to wrap that wire completely around that bead. Now, you can see that 1/4 of an inch of wire that's sticking out there. We're going to call that the stem. We want to take our wire and we want to go around that stem 1 time. Okay. So that's what you've got so far. Look at it from the back. You can see we just wrapped around. So we went all the way around the bead, we made a little frame around our bead, and then we hooked around our stem to secure our wire, and our bead is not going to go anywhere. Now we're going to repeat that with the rest of our beads. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to thread on another bead. This time I'm going to use one of these beautiful turquoise blue, and I'm going to drop that down. And I want kind of even placement. So I do have to hold that bead in place. Don't drop it all the way down next to the last bead that you added. Again, you want to give yourself a little bit of a stem with your wire. So you're going to have to hold that bead in place. And as you're holding it, then create a little bend in that wire, and that's going to hold that bead right where you want it. That might be a little bit too far. And you can play around with it. Okay. All right, now, same thing. I'm going to take that wire and guide it all the way around our blue bead. So I'm going to turn the entire pendant till I get all the way around. Okay. And then I want to take the tail of my wire. And again, I want to wrap around the stem 1 time and then back out here to the front. Okay. So now we have 2 beads, and they're pretty evenly spaced with each other. That's really the most important, is to try to get them as evenly spaced as you can. Just eyeball it. Don't use a ruler for this. It will never work out the way you want it to, and you'll be way more frustrated. So just eyeball this part. Okay. All right. Now the next bead is our larger bead. And we are going to do the same thing. We're going to thread our larger bead on. Okay. Oops. We want to hold it in place and then bend the wire. That's going to hold that bead right where we want it to go. Okay. Might be a little too far. I have a tendency to bend my wire a little too early. That'll do. Okay, now guide the wire around the bead. Go ahead and turn everything as you're holding all the way around your bead. And you're actually going around that bead 1.5 times, okay, to get completely around. Now, take your wire, wrap around the stem. And when you're wrapping around the stem, you want to wrap pretty close to your bead, okay? And then back out to the front. So now you have 3 beads, and it's okay if they're all coming out this direction. Don't worry if they're not curving around your pendant yet. We are going to take care of all of that in the end. The most important part at this time is just to get the beads added. So now we're going to add another one of our turquoise and another one of the white. Now, if you're going to do this and you want to change up the colors, this is where you obviously want to pick colors that are birthstones for your kids or your grandkids, or just your favorite colors. Okay, so don't feel like you have to do these colors by any means. Change it up and make it personal to you. All right, so another bead, bringing another bead in, kind of placing it away from the last bead that we added, holding it in place and giving the wire a bend just to hold that bead in place. Okay, so it's not going to slide off. And we are going to guide the wire around the bead. We're going to go all the way around the bead. And then we are going to take that wire and go around the little stem. Whoops, and back out the front. The good thing about this 24 gauge wire is it's nice and soft, so you can really make it do exactly what you want it to do, okay? All right, now we're ready to add our very last bead. So thread on the last one. And speaking of, if you wanted to add more beads to this, you could go with the smaller beads. So if you got a lot of kids, you got a lot of grandkids, great-grandkids, you want to add them all, just go down a size on your beads here. Make them smaller, and then you can add more of them. All right, so same thing. We've got our bead, holding it in place, going to bend the wire to kind of lock that measurement in, taking the wire all the way around. Okay, and then we are going to wrap around the stem and back out here to the front. All right, now my wire does have a little bend in it. Try to straighten that out. Okay, now what we've got is a full side. So what we want to do now is we want to kind of use our fingers to guide this around the edge of our larger bead here. So use the spacing in between your beads. You really can kind of push the beads around, get them set up exactly where you want them to. Take the tail end of your wire to the front of your wire wraps and wrap around and out to the front. Now you can let go. And we've got those beads secured. And it doesn't have to be behind the wire wraps that are already there. If you can get behind them, that's great, but don't feel like they have to be, because at this point, we're more concerned with the placement and seeing all of those beautiful beads than we are about where that arch is falling if it's going behind our wraps for our herringbone wraps. So that rule kind of goes out the window, okay? Now, come in with your fingers and really turn the beads in the direction you want them to go. If they're facing, to the back too much, you can always kind of twist them around. That wire is going to work for you, and you're going to be able to really manipulate and put those beads exactly where you want them. Now, I'm going to go around the edge of the bead one more time without anything. However, if you wanted to put beads on both sides, which you absolutely can do, you would want to double the length of your wire. So if you wanted to do another round of beads over here to match this one, instead of starting with a 30-inch piece of 24 gauge wire, you want to start with a 60-inch piece of the 24 gauge wire. That's going to give you enough wire to do both sides. Okay, just in case, because I know some of you out there are going to want to fill this up with beads, and you absolutely can. So just give yourself plenty of wire. All right, so I took the wire behind those around the edge up here to the front, and again, being sure that I go to the front of the wire wraps, wrap around into the front. And I actually have a little bit of extra room and extra wire So I'm just going to kind of wind that around a couple of times just to use up some of my extra wire. And I'm going to come to the back and trim off. And that's it, you guys. That's all there is to this. And I know I say that like, that's it, it's easy peasy. No, it does take practice. Do not think that you're going to get this one on the very, very first try. You might. And if you do, that is amazing. But most of the time, one of these kind of figuring out the path of that wire and where it needs to go it can be kind of frustrating, but you're always going to go the same direction. And that always helps. Remembering to come to the front every time, that definitely helps as well. So just keep those little things in mind and you'll be able to work this up pretty quickly. I have no doubt you're going to be able to create these. Now, I want to show you, so just in case you wanted to turn these into earrings, so we're going to attach chain to ours in just a moment. But if you wanted to turn these into earrings instead and hang them this direction, I have a little example just to kind of show you. So this is what it would look like. I added some dangles to mine and an ear wire, but if you wanted to make earrings out of them instead of a pendant, you absolutely could. Okay, just so you know, you would just put an ear wire on one end and do a dangle on the bottom if you wanted of some kind. So all right, so now all we got to do is just add our hardware to this. So I'm going to grab a clasp from my Findings Variety Pack, and I'm going to grab 2 jump rings to use. Actually, I need 4 jump rings. So we're going to attach this to our chain. Okay, so I've got, I have 4 jump rings here, and I've got 2 pieces of chain. Now, your pieces of chain, that's going to be your own measurement, just depending on how long you want your necklace to be. I like mine to be about 16 to 18 inches because I want it to be up where you can see it. But if you want a long necklace, then you might want to cut longer pieces of chain for yours. I'm going to take a jump ring between 2 pairs of pliers. And I'm holding that jump ring so that the opening is facing away from me. And I'm just going to take one of my pliers and twist open. So don't pull them apart. You'll never get that round shape back again. You just want to twist to open your jump ring. I'm going to thread that onto one of the loops on the end of my pendant. And then I'm going to thread my chain on. And then I'm just going to repeat that process, but this time I'm twisting backwards. So between 2 pairs of pliers, twist back to make sure you get a nice close. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side with our other piece of chain. And when we get all of our hardware on this, I'll turn you guys around and show it to you on a bust so you can see what it looks like when it's hanging, because it definitely looks better hanging than it does laying down here flat on the bead mat. Okay. So now we're ready to put our hardware on the opposite ends. Open. We'll close that one back. We're going to do the same thing. And this one, we're going to add our clasp to it. Now, if you're selling jewelry, I know we're pretty close to Mother's Day. It's next weekend, so you may have already created all of your jewelry for your booth if you're going to do Mother's Day. But because this is one of those projects where the colors can be changed so much without changing the design, this is a really good personalized project. So if you like to make custom jewelry for your customers, this is one of those where you can offer them a custom piece by changing up the colors. You can change up that center bead, and then you can change up the beads going around to give them a custom piece of jewelry, which doesn't have to just be a Mother's Day present, right? It could be for any time of year. I love custom jewelry pieces. Those are, it's awesome to be able to offer that to your customers. All right, so I'm going to turn you around so that you can see this on a bust and see what it looks like hanging, and then we can talk about adding maybe other things to it, and then we will say our goodbyes for the day. So let me grab this and hold this up for you so you can see. So this is sort of what this is going to look like when you've got it on, and every bit of this is alterable. Is that you can change any of this up that you want to. You can change that center bead and make it a round bead. You could do, a pear-shaped bead. You really can do that herringbone technique with any shape bead that you want. So you can change that up, you can change the color up, and then of course you can change all of these. And you can do both sides. Make earrings, you can make a bracelet, centerpiece out of it, or if you wanted to, you could even add dangles to each one of these. So as you are wrapping around that bead, if you wanted to hook a jump ring into that or hook the end of a piece of chain into that, you could actually have dangles coming from each one of these beads. Those of you who've been with me a while, you know that I really like dangles and movement in jewelry. So I'm always looking for opportunities to add extra movement, and that is definitely one in this piece as well. Or you can just keep it as simple as it is, just like this. Either way, you're going to end up with a really beautiful piece of jewelry that can be customized for your customers, customized for yourself. Yeah, so there you go. I hope you guys have enjoyed this project. I hope that I explained it to you well enough that you understand all of the steps. But if not, please feel free to reach out and ask me questions. I'm always around. You can reach me on Facebook. You can reach me anywhere. A lot of people in the chat know how to get to me directly. So ask them if you're unsure. I'm always around, but I hope you have enjoyed. Thank you so much for joining me for this class. It was a fun one. I look forward to seeing you guys next time with another fun project. Bye, guys.